Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I'm sharing a page with the August kit from Clique Kits called Malibu, which features a lot of Pink Paislee Summer Lights loveliness. So I am using a cut file from the Clique Kits store. It's from a Clique Kits color kit, probably from last year, I think, maybe the year before. And it's just some brush strokes, and I really love this file. I wanted to do a brush stroke design on my background, and I was going to actually paint on my background, but I thought to myself, I want to use the beautiful pattern papers in this kit. So there are three kind of like brush stroke patterns, and I made them really big. And I'm going to kind of layer them on top of each other. Now I'm only showing you three here, and I do end up going back and actually cutting out two more to kind of fill in the spaces because I wanted kind of a continuous flow of color across the page. So here you can see the files I've cut out. I wanted to kind of do like a gradient going from the bottom up, and I was thinking kind of a layer of sand, a layer of like water, and then like a layer of sky. So I've got the yellow to like the aqua to the blue to the purple on the top. I was kind of hesitating about whether or not I wanted to put the purple one on top, but I decided to add it in, and it fills up the background better. So I am pretty happy with that. By the way, some of these cut files, I showed you three that I cut out in the Silhouette Studio, but the other two I cut out, I actually flipped them, I mirrored them so that all of the like angles weren't going the same direction on the pieces, so that when I layered them, they kind of were staggered. So I know I'm going to decorate this page with a lot of the embellishments from the chipboard and the sticker sheets, and this photo is of my kids. Well, I'll give you a little brief synopsis here, but they were picking shells on an island, and I wanted to use a lot of the shell bits and pieces in the kit, so I needed a place to ground them. So I decided to punch some circles from the different pattern papers that kind of coordinated with the cuts in the background, and what I did is I had the circles overlap two of the strips, so that I got both colors in there, and then I just punched kind of a half circle of one of the colors and just kind of with my scissors cut a jagged line to make it look like the pattern of that particular paper was continuous over the circle. So they're kind of hidden in there against the background, but I do go back and add some stitching over the background here in a little bit, and that makes the circles pop off a little bit. So the purpose again of these circles is just to add a place to ground my embellishments. And in the end, you don't really even see the circles all that much, but I love doing this technique. It's a fun way to bring some interest to a page in the background and, just add a little unique design element. I'm kind of picky about using odd numbers, so I had to make sure I used 5 circles, and I like using different sizes as well. I only use 2 sizes here, a bigger one and a smaller one, but because the embellishments start covering them up, you don't really see that there's only 2 sizes. So to soften the edge of my photo a little bit, I am using, this is a mixed media sheet from ThermoWeb, and it's just kind of a soft layer to add to help soften the edges but still make your photo stand out against the background. So it just lightens the background just a tiny bit around your photo, and I really think it makes photos pop off the background and stand out a lot better. So now I'm going to go through and start picking out some embellishments, and at first I thought maybe I wanted to try to stick with the whole like color thing, like heaping only yellow embellishments down the bottom and then kind of aqua embellishments in the middle. So like stay on its own, have the embellishments stay on their own color, but I didn't really have the option to do that because there weren't a lot of yellow shells, for example, and that's where I wanted to put a lot of the shells was down on the yellow section. So I decided to go ahead and mix up some of the colors and just put the embellishments kind of randomly anywhere on any of the circles. I love the iridescent ones because they have, like, whatever color you put them on, they kind of pick up that color, but also add a little bit of contrast. So the iridescent ones are just gorgeous. And it's hard to see, well, I guess it's not that bad to see in the video, but you can see kind of some flashes of it there, but it's also very hard to photograph. So in my final layout, the brightness just gets kind of wonky when you have to photograph something that's shiny, but it doesn't look too bad. I figured that if you don't do it in very direct light, you got to do it in a little bit darker, cloudy time. You don't get the sheen as much. So I was going to put my own title on here with some of the thickers that are in the kit, but I loved the way that phrase that said "the ocean is calling" kind of fit on that circle, and I liked that it was blue and went over the blue area, so I decided to go ahead and make that my title. And I added in a starfish down on the big yellow circle in the bottom right that kind of had a little bit of kind of coral color to it, a little bit of peach. And so then I felt like I had to start bringing in a couple other peach elements. So you'll see as I go along here that I add in something with just a little tinge of coral to the different kind of clusters. And again, I'm trying to create 3 clusters here, one on the bottom, one on the left, and one on kind of the top right of the photo to kind of create that visual triangle. I'm using iridescent bits in each cluster, and then again something like pinkish or coral in each cluster as well. I also decided to stick out on the bottom a little tiny shell from underneath the colored paper, and then I do the same thing at the top with a sunshine and pop that off the background as well. I initially had a yellow sun up there, but it was way too bright and the yellow just really stuck out, so I put just an iridescent silver one up there instead. And those, by the way, I'm cutting from this piece of pattern paper that has these little squares. I think they're probably 1.5 inch squares, maybe smaller, but they're really great for fussy cutting out little bits, and there's lots of little icons on there that you can cut out. So I really don't do a ton more embellishing. I kind of get everything set where I want as far as the shells and such, and then I'm going to take it all off because you know me. I have to put it all on, make sure I like it, and then go back and add my touches. I was kind of hemming and hawing with adding that polka dot pattern paper in there to just bring a little bit more color in, but I decided against it. So now I'm going to go to town stitching, and I started out stitching and I stitched with the yellow on the bottom, and then I went and picked out some like a mint green and an aqua and a purple, and I decided to leave that one section unstitched, the section with the shells on it, because I really wanted that pattern to stand out and kind of pick up on the theme of the shells. So I did not stitch that particular one, and I like how that looks because that really is the only piece of paper on there that has some type of print on it. The other ones are kind of like a tone on tone or just kind of a watercolor. So I really like that helped the seashell design stand out more. So I'm going to go back through with my mists, and I'm going to just splatter some mists kind of in coordinating colors using a yellow and then a seafoam, an aqua, and then a little bit of purple at the top. So this photo, by the way, is from a trip. We usually go to Florida every year, sometimes every other year, because my mother-in-law lives there, and we took a dolphin boat tour out of Tarpon Springs and went to, they take you to a little island called, I think it's Anclote State Preserve, and it's just a great place to go looking for shells. We found all kinds of shells, and you get to go exploring around the island. It was low tide, so there were kind of these pools of water in the island, and we found all kinds of interesting things. We saw horseshoe crabs, we saw a dead sea turtle, which was kind of sad, but lots of pretty shells. So I took this picture of the kids. They looked so cute. The sky was so blue. I love the little seagrass in the background, and the sand looked white, and so I just absolutely love this photo. We had such a nice time. That was a lot of fun. I want to do that again next time that we go. So I'm just going through, gluing everything on. I had considered popping the circles off the page with some pop dots just to make them stand out a little bit more, but then I thought that it was going to be quite a challenge to get all of the little embellishments I have I had placed on there to also be popped off. It would be just like everything would be popped off the page, and I didn't want to do that. So I just went ahead and glued the circles right to the background, and then I went with some pop dots on some of the items, some of the shells, and popped those right off the circles. So I don't do too much else on the page, actually. Something I do not show you here. I go back through and I rearrange a couple things that I wasn't quite satisfied with, but I did add in some journaling, and what I did is I printed out my journaling on some of the mixed media sheets that I used, like behind my photo, and you can print right on it, and I printed that out in strips and added that in the bottom near my cluster as well. I totally forgot about these acrylic seashells, and those were kind of the inspiration when I was going through my kit. I'm like, oh, I have to use these seashells, those acrylic seashells on this with this photo because it's when we were shell picking. And I'm designing this whole page, and I totally forgot about those seashells. And at the last second, I remembered about them. I'm like, oh, thank goodness I remembered, because I definitely wanted to incorporate those. They're really pretty. And I just adhered those on right with some glue dots, and they stayed just fine. They're a little bulky, but not any. I mean, I have some pages that are very bulky when I kind of do double layers of pop dots and stuff, so not any more bulky than any other page. I was feeling like it was a little tiny bit empty, and just added a couple more little bits here and there. There are so many little bits to choose from. And because I had the 2 hexagons on the photo, I was debating whether or not to add a 3rd one, because it was going to bother me if I didn't have 3 of them. So I don't know. I can't remember if I take that off. I think I do take it off. Maybe I don't. No, I add in, yes, I leave the Ocean Vibes tag there and then add in the little heart over it. So I play around a little bit more, but here's what I finally came up with. I am so in love with the colors in this kit. Absolutely beautiful. So it's just some soft, pretty colors, perfect for beachy and summer photos. So close up of some of my layers. I forgot those little tiny seashells there, the iridescent ones, are actually part of the sequins pack. That's what else I did. I went back through and I added some sequins to the page, just with some glue dots. Close up of the stitching there, which I love the detail that adds. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching my page today. Be sure to go check out the kit in the Clique Kits store. And stay scrappy, my friends. I'll see you soon.